Been a long layoff since we last played in the Tennessee game, so we're excited to get back out there and compete again. Obviously, we play, um, another Louisville institution in Bellarmine, who I know Coach Davenport very well. I've known him for many, many years. I've worked with his son Doug, and have the utmost respect for him and his program and his staff. Um, the tradition that they built there. He's a terrific coach. I think one of the best coaches in the country. So we've been preparing for them. Obviously, the first 6 or 7 days of our off period, the majority of the time was spent on us, kind of going back to preseason mode a little bit, working on all facets of our system on both sides of the ball. And then, the latter half of this break has been a lot of focus on preparing for Bellarmine. So we're excited about getting going again tomorrow, and I'll open up the questions.
Yeah, Coach, I'm just wondering, normally after a loss, coaches like to get right back into a game, but given how early it is in your season and your tenure here, was that 9-day period helpful?
I think so. We would have looked at the bright side regardless of whether we had a break later or break earlier and found the advantages of that. But I think our team approached these 9 days or 8 days, 9 days, whatever it is, with the right mindset. They were leaning forward, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed in wrapping up the Tennessee game in terms of that day or two afterwards when, we watched a lot of film on that game and then went back to practice, and then obviously, like I said, had more preseason-oriented practices, but our guys responded the right way. They knew there was a lot of things that we had to improve on and we had to clean up, and I loved our mentality and our approach the last several days, the last week or so.
Hey Pat, when you kind of talked about doing a film session with the team of that game, being one of the longest that you've ever done as a head coach. I'm just wondering, like, as you kind of go through that process, like, how do you, because you talked about showing the guys good things that you did. How do you kind of keep a balance of I guess trying to fix those mistakes, but then also kind of keeping players heads up high,
No doubt.
Focusing on things they did right.
In wrapping up that game, there was a lot of positive things we did as well. And in that film session, it wasn't planned on going that long, but the reason it did is the guys were extremely attentive. They were participating throughout. They knew there were some things that needed to be cleaned up and needed to be fixed. So it wasn't like, a long film session where it was just, an hour and a half of aggressive counseling, if you will, where I'm just, blasting them, getting after them. We cleaned some stuff up and we addressed everything, and it was very productive. But at the same time, there were a lot of clips that we showed on both ends of the ball of things that we did effectively and did well also. We say all the time, never accept in victory what you wouldn't accept in defeat. And, even coming out of the Moorhead game, there were things that we had to fix, things we did very, very well. And we showed the good and the bad in that game. Did the same thing for Tennessee, and we'll do the same thing for every game moving forward, not obviously to that length, but we'll always go back and use the mistakes and our shortcomings as teaching opportunities to get better. And then, at the same time, celebrate some of the things we do well so we can build on that as well.
Was there one thing that you felt like was the biggest thing that you had to clean up? And I guess in regards to that, it was really the first time you guys said, no disrespect to the other teams, but the first time you had played someone to that caliber. How much maybe was it that was the first time your guys as a group had faced something like that?
Yeah, it was obviously the best team that we had played to this point, and they're very, very well coached and run a great system. I think, it was a very physical game from the very beginning. I think I said this before, officiating did a great job, but usually officials establish early on how the game's going to be called, and I think we could have done a better job of adjusting.
When going through that film session, was there something in there, good or bad, that you caught there that maybe you didn't see in real time against that Tennessee game?
Yeah, I mean, you always do. We always say the tape doesn't lie. As you go back and you look into the layers and you look deep into a game, the little nuanced stuff on whether it's, transition defense or pick and roll coverage or off-ball screening action or our block outs. I mean, there's, themes, obviously, that you know coming out that you could see through the eye test, but then as you pour through the tape, you see in greater detail, and you're able to get to the granular parts of getting better in all facets of our system, which is what I think we did the last 9 days.
You mentioned how that film session wasn't just aggressive counseling and how there was back and forth between you and the team. Has that been something that you had seen before at prior stops?
No, I mean, our guys are great. You know, they have the right approach and mindset every single day, even coming off of a win or coming off of a loss at Tennessee. And, you know, I would say all the stops and all the teams that I've coached usually have that approach.
Following a loss like that and a review and kind of overlooking every aspect of the loss that you guys can improve on, when you do take the floor and the lights come on at the KFC Yum Center against Bellarmine, obviously you're going to be a heavy favorite, but what do you want to see from your team when the ball is tipped throughout that 40 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see in that first 4-minute clip us playing to our standard from an effort standpoint, from an execution standpoint on both ends of the ball, and try to take it, and it's sounds like coach speak, but possession by possession, 4-minute segment by 4-minute segment. There's 10 of those segments throughout the course of the game, and just being consistent. There's going to be things that are for every team that are broken throughout the course of the game that need to be fixed. You get to those media timeouts, you fix it. You go out to the next the next 4-minute segment, and you try to do it better. So, just that consistent approach throughout the course of the game. Getting high with the highs and lows with the lows, you can't do that. You got to have that kind of 0-0 mindset every time you take the floor when you come out of those media timeouts.
You talked about just the physicality of that Tennessee game. Did you all spend a lot of time just trying to work on that sort of thing? Just trying to match another team's physicality level, and if so, how is that done during a practice when you're just trying to do scrimmages?
We always do that. Our environment is a competitive environment every single day, and things we hang our hat on, I'm sure, are the same things that Tennessee hangs their hat on. That's effort, physicality, toughness. That's what we're always going to be about.
This is the third straight year Bellarmine and Louisville have played. I know that Scotty at some point was concerned the series might not continue. How did this game come about, and do you see it continuing in the future?
Yeah, he was, first of all, one of the first people to call me or text me and congratulate me, when I got the job here. And it's been good to me over the years. We've talked X's and O's. Doug, I mentioned I worked with. He was a GA at Xavier when I was the associate head coach there. And ironically, when I got my first head coaching job at Winthrop, I hired Doug as my director of basketball operations, and he was on the job for exactly 36 hours. And walked in and looked like he had seen a ghost. And I said, Doug, what's wrong? He goes, Coach, I got to talk to you about something. And I said, Doug, what's wrong? And he goes, I just got a call from Coach Pitino, and he offered me a job at the University of Louisville. I said, get your butt out of here right now. Don't pass go. Don't collect $100. So, I just have a lot of respect for Scott, and I think it's good for the city. Yeah.
Pat, is it not me?
I will say, scheduling is like putting a square peg in a round hole. So by answering that question, yes, I can't say for sure 100%, but I think it's great that we're playing and it's good for the city.
Pat, they're still looking for their first win. When you watch them, what do you see?
Yeah, they're a really good team, and I don't think their record is indicative. In fact, I know their record is not indicative of the caliber of team that they have. They have good size. They have good skill. They have a bunch of guys that can shoot it and drive it and touch the paint. Obviously Scotty is a very good coach, a very innovative coach. They play a unique style in terms of their movement offensively. In coaching circles, people talk all the time about the Bellarmine cutting, just their ability to move off the ball, and they do it very, very, very well. Each of those games, even like the last game against Marshall, and the margin ended up being whatever it was, but you watch that game, like halftime, it's a tie game. They come out in the second half, and they're right there. But they present a lot of problems. Positional size, a lot of shooting, very good skill. I mean, it is a team that don't pay attention to the 0-3. They're going to get better and better and better throughout the year. I think they're going to have the ability to wreak havoc in that conference. And, we have the ultimate respect for them, and we take that floor tomorrow night. We've prepared for them with everything we got because of the respect that we have for their program, for Scotty Davenport, and for the skill level and talent level of their players. It's going to be a tough game, and our guys are approaching it with the right mindset, and we're excited about getting back out there and competing.
What did you see from Kaysen, maybe that you liked in the first couple games, but what do you maybe need to see more of from him out there?
I mean, I think we could go all the way down the line on each and every guy, including the head coach sitting here, of what things that we could do better. One thing I love about Kaysen is his approach and his mindset every day. He, as we mentioned, he hadn't been in the starting lineup for the first couple games, but his approach and his mentality every single day. I think but I could say this about everybody on our team, just consistency. Game in, game out, day in, day out. I think that's something that he can improve on. I mean, obviously, he's one of our best players. Everybody knows how much we rely on him, but I've been very proud of him in his development, grasping and understanding a new system, and he's going to have a phenomenal year. All right, thanks.